It's Jay with 1791 Actual again. In our ongoing series on lead die setup, we've gone through the various series of dies. We've talked about the decap and resizing die. We talked about a non-lead die, the RCBS RAM grind system. We've talked about the powder through expansion die. We've talked about the bullet seating die and the factory crimp die. We've also looked at the combination die that Lee provides in a 3-die set. This is a 4-die set. In a 3-die set, the bullet seating die and the crimp die are all in one. The bullet seating stem, and instead of having the collar with the adjustment internally for the crimp, you actually do the crimp based on the depth of the die body. This is what's called a factory crimp die. A little bit different. It's a little bit better. I think I prefer to do it this way as two separate steps. I originally had a 3-die set. Got used to using that, and it was okay. But when I ran across this 4-die set and tried it, took a little bit of getting used to it, a little bit of learning to get them set, learn how to set them properly. But now I can set them fairly quickly. You'll see that in other videos. So, but along the way, we actually created 4 inert rounds. No primer, no powder, but we did seat the bullet and apply the crimp. And I actually want to be able to use these. I don't need inert rounds. And this is the one that we kind of messed up. If you go check that video on factory crimp, I actually had the stem turned down a little bit too far, such that we got kind of an ugly, nasty. I can't get it to focus. You can see the difference in how nice this crimp looks versus how ugly that thing is. And you notice the camera doesn't even want to focus on this guy. So what we need to do is remove those bullets. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Well, maybe not a lot. There's several different ways. There are dies that you can get that go in your press, and you actually use the press to extract the bullet. This is, and there's several out there. This is a blue one. This is Frankfurt Arsenal. I bought one of these when I first got started because I figured at some point I would need it, and I have. You can see how kind of beat up the end of this one is. Then I acquired a second one last year. I managed to buy a big bundle of reloading equipment, and it had another one of these Frankfurt Arsenals in there. It's called a kinetic bullet puller. And what it is, it uses kinetic energy to extract the bullet. Again, there's quite a few different companies, and RCBS makes one. I don't know if Lee does or not, but I know Frankfurt Arsenal. You see Frankfurt Arsenal ones all the time. It's a steel handle, mild steel, but it's got, you can feel that there's a little bit of flex in there. Very, very hard, durable plastic, and it comes with a set of collets and a little guide sheet. There's one that has no lines, one that has a single line, and there's one that has 2 lines. I'm getting that. Looks like that's, again, that's not really focusing terribly well. There you can see the 2 lines, and they're held together by a little O-ring. So the one that we're going to use, and they're caliber specific, and kind of a range of calibers. As you can tell, that's a fairly large one. That's going to be 45 ACP, 40, such as that. And I keep them in I made a drawer for them, for all the parts. But you take that collet with the O-ring on it, you drop it in the lid, curved side down, and you start screwing it on just until it barely touches it, and back off a little bit. And then you slip your bullet down into it and snug it down so that it can't move. And then that's when the fun happens. Now, under here, because this hitting the table is really annoyingly loud. But I have one of those inline fabrication mounting plates. I've got a riser over here for my press, but I've got a spare mounting plate over here that I can mount other things to. So we're going to kind of deaden the sound a little bit by putting a piece of shop towel over it. And you're not really supposed to hit these on concrete, but actually seems like I am not going to get that out of there that way. It is moving. That is just a really long bullet. I wonder if I had that in there upside down. There it is. Took quite a few hits. And there it is. I salvaged my case, and I salvaged my bullet. Not the easiest thing in the world to do. Not something that you necessarily want to have to do much of. Now, what would happen is if these were loaded rounds, if this had a primer in it and had powder in it, and just for some reason I needed to deconstruct that, I could do that very same thing, because nothing is ever coming in contact with the primer, so it's not like it can go off. It's just really annoying to have to do. So you want to be really careful so that you don't have to use one of these often. They're also a little bit hard on the hand because there's a lot of vibration comes up through that handle and into this handle. So it's not the most comfortable thing in the world to use, but they're effective. But at that point, what would happen is your bullet would drop down into here. The powder would also fall down into here because your bullet is inverted. Okay, so when the bullet comes out of the case, the powder is going to drop with it. At which point, you can take a little container of some kind, carefully dump it out, separate off your bullet from the powder. Dust him off, and you can actually reuse that powder. So I'm going to do another one of these, or at least I'm going to try. See if I can get one to work a little easier. I can tell it is moving. So it took 11 strikes, but another salvaged case and another salvaged bullet. And I like to take a look at them, make sure that they're not damaged at all. Sometimes it's easier to just slip the collet onto the bullet rather than assembling it that way and then putting the bullet in. On the 12th shot, it popped out. There we go. There's 3. Now this one I'm sure is going to take quite a few more strikes. This is the one with the really ugly crimp. Oh, that one only took 5 strikes. Probably because of the shape of that crimp. And you can see it actually, as the bullet pulled out, it actually straightened that crimp out. So now we have 4 cases, 4 bullets. We can put our collet back where it goes. Put the cap back on our puller. Hang the puller back where it goes. All right, well, thanks for hanging out for a few minutes. Hopefully you learned something about extracting bullets when you've inadvertently created something you don't want to use. You need to disassemble it without firing it. So that's that part. And as always, I appreciate you hanging out and coming in to learn something. Hopefully you found something new and interesting. If you did, do what to do. Like, subscribe, follow, whatever applies to the platform that you're watching on, and share it with your friends. Hopefully they'll find something interesting too. As always, thanks for stopping in. God bless, and see you on the other side.